At her grandson's christening, her mother-in-law declared, "She gave birth but doesn't want to raise him, constantly dragging him to her parents." She thought she'd get away with it, but the daughter-in-law, in front of everyone, revealed why she had to work while on maternity leave and where her husband's money was actually going. The chime above the door of the Flora Art Flower Salon was more than just a sound. For Dina, it was the starting pistol's signal. 5 a.m. The refrigeration unit hummed steadily, soothingly smelling of dampness, cut stems, cool water, and the rich, dense petals of Ecuadorian roses. Dina, tying on her own apron, was unpacking boxes from the latest delivery. Her hands ached as usual. A bandage covered her thumb. She'd cut it on a thorn yesterday. Inside a carrier bag sitting right on the counter amidst ribbons and secateurs, 3-month-old Pavlik stirred. He grunted, blowing bubbles. "Soon, little one, soon," Dina whispered, deftly trimming a thick hydrangea stem. "Mom will finish the bouquet, and then we'll eat." This was her reality, not a maternity leave spent with a stroller in the park or sipping almond milk lattes with friends. This was a tough, prickly business that couldn't stop for a single day because the mortgage wouldn't pay itself. Dina didn't complain. She loved her work, but lately, a dark, heavy knot had been forming inside her, and the reasons weren't sleepless nights or demanding clients. The reason was Galina Sergeevna. Oleg's mother looked magnificent for her age. 48. She had no age-related ailments. She had manicures, styled hair, and a yoga membership. She possessed an unwavering conviction that the world owed her. When Pavlik was born, Galina Sergeevna announced she was moving in with the young couple temporarily to help. Her help was peculiar. Dina returned home in the evening, leaving the shop to her assistant. Her feet throbbed. She dreamed of a shower and quiet. Strangers' shoes stood in the hallway, not just one pair, but 3. Laughter and the clinking of glasses drifted from the living room. Dina walked in. Galina Sergeevna was on the sofa, surrounded by 2 friends. A cheese platter, fruit, and wine adorned the table. "Oh, Dina's arrived!" her mother-in-law exclaimed, throwing her hands up. "Girls, meet our hard-working girl." Her friends, equally well-groomed ladies of indeterminate occupation, assessed the tired Dina with appraising glances. Dina wore jeans, her hair in a messy bun with shadows under her eyes. "Hello," Dina nodded curtly. "And where are Oleg? Where's Pasha?" "Oleg is in the bedroom rocking him." Galina Sergeevna waved her hand, pouring herself more wine. "The little one's been crying, probably his tummy. We decided to relax a bit, celebrate my grandmotherhood, so to speak." Dina glanced at the wine. It was Barolo, a bottle that sat in the bar for special occasions. It cost half of her florist's daily earnings. "Galina Sergeevna," Dina said quietly. "That's collectible wine, a gift from my partners." "Oh, come on," her mother-in-law grimaced, her face momentarily losing its mask of pleasantness. "Are you stingy with your mother? We're celebrating the birth of the heir. You always measure everything by money, Dina. You're so dull. Now Oleg, he's generous to a fault." Dina didn't respond. She went to the bedroom. Oleg, her husband, sat on a yoga ball, bouncing listlessly, eyes glued to his phone. Pavlik wailed in his crib. "Why aren't you holding him?" Dina asked, scooping up her son. The baby was wet. "Mom said not to spoil him by carrying him too much," Oleg mumbled, not looking up from his screen. "And anyway, Din, why are you starting this? They're sitting quietly." "They're drinking wine worth 40,000, Dina said. "And you're sitting on your phone while your son screams in a wet diaper." "Oh, here we go again. You're always about money. All you care about is the bill. Mom dedicated her life to me. She deserves to relax once in a while in her son's home." "In your son's home?" Dina echoed. "Oleg, remind me, whose down payment was it? And who's been paying the mortgage for the last 6 months while you've been finding yourself?" Oleg sulked. This was his usual defensive posture of offended innocence. "I'm developing a startup, you know that. It takes time. You don't support me." Dina silently changed her son. She didn't want scandals. She needed clarity. But clarity eluded her, dissolving into her mother-in-law's manipulations and her husband's immaturity. The situation escalated. Galina Sergeevna wasn't in any hurry to leave. She occupied the former guest room, turning it into a spa annex. Mornings began not with coffee, but with complaints. "Dina, why is there no avocado in the fridge?" I asked. "I'm on a diet." "Dina, this detergent gives me allergies. Buy that Japanese one for $3,000. "Dina, are you leaving again? The baby needs a mother, not a cuckoo." Dina dressed in silence. She couldn't afford not to work. The business supported them all. Oleg, whose startups had so far only generated losses, Pavlik, herself, and, as it turned out, Galina Sergeevna. "I'll take Pasha to my parents," Dina said, fastening the baby's overalls. "Again!" her mother-in-law snorted, not looking up from her morning show. "Poor in-laws saddling them with their grandson while you play businesswoman." "All right, can you watch him?" Dina asked directly. "I just need 4 hours to assemble a wedding order." "I have a cosmetology appointment today." Galina Sergeevna immediately replied, her tone brooking no argument. "Besides, I raised Oleg without any nannies. I managed on my own, and you're just disorganized." Dina gritted her teeth, took the bassinet, and drove to her mother's. Tatiana Ivanovna and Viktor Petrovich, Dina's parents, were people of the old school. Her father, a former factory engineer now retired, was a man of few words, solid as a rock. Her mother, a retired teacher, was gentle, but possessed a steely core when it came to order. They never interfered in their daughter's family life, but were always there to help. "Here you go." Her father came into the hallway, wiping his hands on a towel. "Give my boy here." "Dad, thank you. I honestly don't know how I'd manage without you." "Go work, daughter. Don't worry about us," Viktor Petrovich said. But in his gaze, Dina read concern. He saw that his daughter was losing weight, that her eyes were dull. One day, when Dina was picking up Pavlik, her father said, "Oleg called, asked to borrow some money." Dina froze. "How much?" 50,000. Said he needed it for the car, some rare part. Dina knew Oleg's car was in good working order. She had paid for its service just a week prior. "Did you give it to him?" "No." My father shook his head. "I told him to ask his wife." He hung up. "Din, be careful. Kindness has its limits. If you keep drawing from it endlessly, you'll hit the bottom." The explosion had been brewing for a long time. Petty squabbles, money disappearing from the household account, endless lectures. Galina Sergeevna behaved as if she were the mistress of the estate, a benevolent overseer. Oleg retreated further and further. He found a comfortable position between two fires where he wasn't bothered. He played video games while Dina balanced the books. The final straw was the christening. "Christenings must be perfect," Galina Sergeevna declared. At dinner, she poked at the dino risotto Dina had prepared as if it were mess hall barley. "I've already arranged it with the Venice restaurant." Dina almost choked on her tea. "Venice? Galina Sergeevna, that's the most expensive banquet hall in the city. We don't have that budget." Her mother-in-law raised an eyebrow. "Dina, don't embarrass my son. I've invited my friends, relatives from Saratov. People need to see that Oleg is doing well, that he's the head of the family, that an heir has been born. Oleg, say something. Dina turned to her husband. Oleg shrugged. Well, Din, honestly, we only live once. Mom wants a celebration. She does so much for us. What exactly does she do? Dina's voice became cold and sharp as a scalpel. She lives here for free, eats at our expense, uses my cosmetics. How dare you? Galina Sergeyevna clutched her heart theatrically. Oleg, your wife is begrudging me a crust of bread. Me, who stayed up nights raising you. Okay, calm down. Oleg jumped up. Dina, stop it. We'll find the money. I'll borrow it or earn it. My project will take off in a month. Dina knew the value of these projects, but didn't have the strength to argue. She conceded, all right, let it be Venice. The preparations for the christening fell, of course, on Dina. Galina Sergeyevna merely issued instructions and compiled the guest list. The list included 30 people from her side, including some third cousins and her socialite friends from the fitness club. From Dinah's side, only her parents and a couple of close friends. Dina paid the deposit. She worked 14-hour days, took on late-night banquet arrangements, crafted bouquets, her fingers raw and bleeding. 2 days before the celebration, Dina overheard Oleg talking to his mother. She had returned early, having forgotten her warehouse keys. The kitchen door was ajar. Just hang on, Mommy. Oleg's voice was ingratiating. As soon as Din achieves her car loan, I'll talk to her about your anniversary. We'll send you to Karlovy Vary, as you wanted. Son, I simply can't live with this Philistine. Galina Sergeyevna's voice dripped with venom. She's suffocating you. You need space, inspiration. And she's all about buy bread, pay for electricity, a down-to-earth woman. You need a muse, not a workhorse. Oh, by the way, did you transfer money to my card? Yes, I did. Told Dina it was for taxes. Dina stood in the hallway, her back pressed against the cool wall. Her heart wasn't beating. It had frozen into a chunk of ice. So that's how it is. A down-to-earth woman, a workhorse. Dina exhaled slowly. Inside, a cold, calculating mechanism kicked in, the same one that helped her survive in business and haggle discounts from suppliers. She quietly left the apartment unnoticed. The christening day was sunny, golden autumn, a piercingly blue sky. The Venice restaurant gleamed with crystal and gilding. Waiters in white gloves served canapes. Galina Sergeyevna was in her element. A new dress, bought, as Dina guessed, with those same tax funds. Professional makeup. She flitted among the guests, accepting congratulations as if she had given birth, built a house, and planted a tree. Oleg stayed close to his mother in a new suit, radiant and proud. The role of a successful family man came easily to him, as long as it didn't involve reaching for his wallet. Dina's parents sat at the end of the table. Viktor Petrovich wore his only good suit, which had become a bit tight across the shoulders. Tatiana Ivanovna smiled politely, but sadness was in her eyes. They sensed something was wrong. Dina was too calm, frighteningly calm. She sat with her back straight, dressed in a severe, elegant, steel-colored dress. She ate very little. She observed. Toasts flowed like a river. Everyone praised the wonderful grandmother, the talented father, and the marvelous baby. Dina was mentioned fleetingly, like a necessary biological component of the birthing process. And then Galina Sergeyevna tapped her glass with her fork, demanding silence. I want to say a few words. She stood up. A theatrical pause, a look filled with self-love and condescension towards those around her. My dears, I am so happy to see you all here. Raising children is a tremendous task. I know this from my own experience. I gave my all to Oleg. And now, looking at my grandson, I pray for only one thing, that he receives enough attention because—" She shifted her gaze to Dina, and a malicious glint flickered in her eyes. "The time has come for the public flogging, which she so enjoys. Unfortunately, modern mothers often forget their purpose. Career, money, all this hustle. A child needs a mother, and what do we have?" Galina Sergeyevna put on a mournful face and declared in her well-modulated voice, loud enough for every corner of the hall to hear, "She gave birth but doesn't want to raise him. She constantly drags him to her parents." The hall fell silent. Guests exchanged glances. Her mother-in-law's friends nodded approvingly. Oleg buried his face in his plate, pretending to study the pattern of the rim. Dina slowly raised her eyes and dropped her fork. "And who will feed the family?" Her voice didn't tremble. It was loud, clear, audible to everyone. "Your son can't even feed a child, yet he fully supports a healthy 48-year-old mother." A dead silence hung in the air, so profound you could hear a fly buzzing near the ceiling. The smile slid off Galina Sergeyevna's face like cheap plaster. She opened her mouth, gasping for air like a fish out of water. Her face flushed red. "What? What are you saying?" she hissed, trying to save face. "Oleg, tell her." Oleg looked up, pale as a sheet. He darted his gaze from his mother to his wife. The panic in his eyes was almost palpable. "Din, why are you doing this in front of people?" he stammered. "And how, Oleg?" Dina stood up. "How else?" Silently. "While your mother calls me a cuckoo, living in my apartment at my expense?" The guests began to whisper. The picture of the perfect family was cracking. Her mother-in-law opened her mouth, but Dina's father put down his napkin and spoke. Viktor Petrovich rose slowly, leaning his hands on the table. His imposing figure loomed over the banquet table. He disliked speaking, but when he did, it was like the striking of a pile driver. "Galina Sergeyevna." His voice was low, rumbling, devoid of emotion. "Just the facts. You said my daughter doesn't want to raise her child." I meant that she constantly dumps him on us," the mother-in-law shrieked, feeling the ground disappear beneath her. "On us!" Viktor Petrovich chuckled. The chuckle was chilling. "Let's clarify. In the 3 months of Pavel's life, you've walked with him twice for 20 minutes for an Instagram photo. All other times, while Dina works, we, Tanya and I, watch the grandson for free. That's slander." Galina Sergeyevna glanced around at her friends for support, but they averted their eyes. Everyone loved drama, but no one wanted to participate in someone else's disgrace. "Slander." Viktor Petrovich took a small notepad from his jacket pocket, an old, worn notebook on a spring. "I'm an old man. My memory fails, so I write things down. Here, the 20th. Dina transferred $30,000 to you for treatment. The 25th. Payment for your cosmetologist, $15,000. And on the same day, Oleg borrowed $10,000 from me until payday to buy diapers." He threw the notepad onto the table. It landed next to Galina Sergeyevna's plate. "My daughter is toiling like a dog," the father continued, surveying the hushed hall. "She supports a husband who's been finding himself for 2 years. She supports you, a healthy woman, who's riding on the backs of a young family, and you dare open your mouth and accuse her of being a bad mother?" "Viktor Petrovich, please don't," Oleg squeaked. "Silence!" His father barked so loudly the glasses clinked. Oleg shrank into his chair. "You, young man, keep quiet. A man who allows his mother to humiliate his wife and with her money is not a man, he's a hanger-on in trousers. Galina Sergeevna realized this is the end. Her play had failed. The audience saw not a noble mother, but a greedy predator. "We're leaving," she cried, jumping up. "Oleg, let's go. We're being insulted here." She grabbed her purse and headed for the exit, confident her son would follow. Oleg flinched, looked at his mother, looked at Dina, sitting with a stony face, looked at his father-in-law, resembling an enraged bear. "Oleg!" Galina hissed venomously from the doorway. Dina calmly picked up her glass of water and took a sip. "If you leave now, Oleg," she said quietly, but in the silence of the hall, it sounded like a death sentence. "There will be no turning back. I'll change the locks today." Oleg froze. A complex calculation was taking place in his head. Mom meant emotional comfort, but a financial abyss. Dina meant harshness, demands, but a well-fed life, a warm apartment and a car. Galina Sergeevna turned. She saw her son's confusion and realized she had lost the purse. "Traitor!" she spat and ran out of the hall. The click of her heels faded in the corridor. Dina sat back in her seat. Silence still reigned in the hall. She looked at the restaurant manager, frozen by the wall with the bill in his hands. "Let's continue," she said evenly. "The food is paid for. We can't just throw it away." Her mother-in-law's friends, exchanging glances, hesitantly began reaching for the appetizers. The show was over, and they were hungry. The evening ended unexpectedly calmly. The socialites quickly disappeared, feeling awkward. Only Dina's parents and a couple of her friends remained. Oleg sat quieter than a mouse. He tried to attend to his son, refilled his father-in-law's berry drink, and peered ingratiatingly into Dina's eyes. When they returned home, the apartment was quiet. Galina Sergeevna's belongings were still scattered in the guest room, but she herself was gone. Apparently, she had gone to a friend's to lick her wounds. Dina put Pavlik to bed, then went to the kitchen. Oleg was sitting there. He looked pathetic, like a deflated balloon. "Din," he began. "No." She raised her hand. "No apologies. I don't need words." She took a piece of paper and a pen from her purse and placed them in front of him. "What is this?" Oleg asked fearfully. "These are the new rules," Dina said, sitting opposite him. "We are not divorcing for now. Pavlik must have a father, but no more joint accounts. Mortgage and utilities split 50-50. Food, too. Your wants, gas, your clothes, that's your problem now. But I don't earn that much yet." "Then go work as a taxi driver, a courier, a loader. I don't care, Oleg. Either you start bringing money into the house or you go live with your mother. The startup era is over. And Mom, she has nothing to live on. She's 48. Her arms and legs work. Let her find work as an administrator, a concierge, a cashier, or let her find a sponsor. I am not a sponsor." Oleg looked at his wife and saw a stranger before him, tough, cold, strong, one he might never have known, hiding behind his mother's skirt. "You've become so mercenary," he whispered. Dina smiled. There was no malice in this smile, only tired wisdom. "No, dear, I've just grown up and you have yet to." The next day, Galina Sergeevna came for her things. She expected a scandal, tears, pleas for her to stay. She had prepared a speech about forgiveness, but Dina met her at the threshold with neatly packed boxes. "Here's all yours," Dina said, pointing to 3 tidy stacks by the elevator. "I've called a taxi, prepaid to your registered address." "You're kicking me out of my son's home," her mother-in-law gasped. "My home," Dina corrected. "The mortgage is in my name. Oleg is only registered here, but that's for now." Oleg appeared in the doorway. Galina Sergeevna rushed to him. "But son, tell her? Oleg looked at his mother. He remembered the calculator in Dina's eyes yesterday. He remembered his father-in-law's words about a hanger-on. "Mom, has your taxi arrived?" he mumbled, looking at the floor. "Go, we'll talk later." It was betrayal, but it was also the victory of reality over illusions. Dina closed the door. The bolt clicked. The apartment was quiet for the first time in 3 months. No strange perfume scent, no droning television. Dina went to the kitchen and poured herself a cup of hot tea. She walked to the window. Below, by the entrance, Galina Sergeevna's small figure bustled, trying to cram boxes into the trunk of a yellow taxi. Dina took a sip. The tea was delicious and the air in the apartment was clean. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Oleg would have to be re-educated by reality for a long time, or perhaps she would have to part with him altogether if he couldn't cope. But she had done the main thing. She had reclaimed her territory, her life, and her right to be a mother in the way she saw fit. Well, what can I say? It was harsh, but fair. Sometimes, to restore peace to a home, you just need to change the locks and cut off the financial tap, no matter how much it hurts the pride of relatives. I hope the heroine has enough strength not to stray from this path. Have you ever had to resort to such extreme measures to save your family and self-respect? Share your stories. All the best and take care. M.